Rinat, I think we as two fintech involved people could go into a conversation, and as Dima mentioned, he has sent me a few questions about fintech banks, about difference between Asian and European fintechs, about peer-to-peer platforms, and some opinions in regards to the future of the banking system for the next 5-10 years. It's like a scope of questions for today's talk. I think we could definitely adjust to friendly talk and add some comments and share our opinion. But before that questions, I think it will be more like I will interview you and will ask your professional, your expertise and your opinion on all of these mentioned questions. And at the same time, we'll bring my thoughts. Probably you would like to ask me in regards to something what is interesting for you, because actually I'm based in the UK. And yeah, I think during this call and during the introduction, we can introduce ourselves to each other, say a couple of words about the recent experience, and to explain the scope of our expertise, where we can be useful, and then we will go to the questions, if you don't mind.
Sure. That's great. Yeah, I like the format. So let's go on. So maybe we'll start from questions that Dima has sent me before. So
I think let's just officially and formally start the call with a quick hello and my call to introduce ourselves, if you don't mind. Yeah. Hello, Rinat. Costa here. Really nice to meet or video meet you for today's call. Thank you for taking your time to join the call and friendly talking to me and bring your expertise. If you don't mind, I think it will be useful for the audience who are watching us later on after this interview webinar to understand your background, your expertise, your field of power. Could you just bring some information about yourself?
Okay, sure. So let me say a couple words about myself. Okay, my name is Rinat. I'm a serial entrepreneur in the fintech industry. So, and my background actually has two verticals. One vertical is the computer science. I have master degree in computer science, and I'm former IT developer. And the second is the economics and banking. So the last 10 plus years, I used to work in the banking and the digital banking and the digital finance, something that's on the edge of the implementing technology in such a conservative world like banking. So my three last projects that was dedicated to mostly like research, I would say. So one, the name of one is the related to InsurTech. We try to understand how to add more products that connecting the real consumer worlds to the banking. So we try to make the predictive underwriting for for the loans. If somebody just getting the loan from the bank, why they cannot get some kind of advice how to use it. So using like visiting the doctor or going to the lawyer, and we make to like arrange it in a very smoothly way, like paperless and so on. My next project was dedicated to predictive marketing. So we tried to predict that I would say predictive consumer finance. I'd say, yeah. We try to predict what kind of goods would be acquired or purchased by by some certain person, and who from the financial institution or maybe another individual could finance the deal. And once we're matching these two things, we can propose some certain good to some certain person in installments, even before that person will think about that, so that they need it. So, and we are doing that research project, so I realized that okay, there is a time to implement it. So right now I'm helping the fintech companies developing in 4 countries, Southeast Asia. It's Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, and Malaysia. So it's actually give us another very important experience for fintech is how to make this business global, because the key point of the fintech, instead of, I would say, traditional banking, that it's this business should be borderless, transbording, very seamless here. So okay, this is my background. So I'm just trying to implement my passion in technology into the conservative banking right here.
I see. And as you mentioned, 4 countries you're working with in Asia, and especially South Asia, meaning that your key expertise from this region.
Yes, correct. So I used to work in the local banks as well, yeah.
I think it will be a good talk, is because just a couple of words about myself, about my experience. I would say I live in quite opposite world. I live in Europe. I spent a few years in the US. Recently, not so recently, I live in the UK, in London and Edinburgh for the last almost 3 years. Before, I lived in Dublin, Ireland, with another startup business. And now my expertise situated literally in the banking area in terms of loans, because actually I and my team, we are developing a platform that literally connects African demand and Asian liquidity. But we based in the UK, and we're a British startup. That's why we are onboarding finance providers from a few countries, a few European countries, and supplying liquidity to African countries. That's why I definitely understand the area you mentioned, kind of predictive lending. Is because I have been talking to many banks, especially in Ghana, in Nigeria, and Kenya, how to exactly predict and pre-approve loans to those individuals and businesses who even haven't think about getting a loan. It's definitely a piece of beauty, and I think our today's talk is quite a perfect professional match.
Yeah, great. So you are in the UK, and you're like bridging the other parts of the world. That's really cool. Yeah.
Correct. In regards to these geographical bias and difference, let me start with a question. From your point of view, from your perspective and experience, because you have been working for a few banks, at least in your past, on a recent past, and I think you definitely had an experience to interact with other players. I think with Americans, with Canadians, with Europeans. What's a difference from your point of view between European and Asian fintechs, especially from the startup area?
Yeah, there is a tremendous difference actually, and it's based on the, I would say, the very important parameter that banking, or I would say financial services inclusion, right? So the people in Asia, they don't have much access to financial services. But in Europe, it's different. The penetration of the banking services, let's say current bank account, the most of the people have, even the like infant or the very old people, everybody has bank account. In Asia, like could be 50%, 60%, or even 80% of the population of the country could not have it. And they don't have experience of the traditional banking products, let's say cards, installment loans, and so on. So that's why I would say that experience-based models, they are mostly impacting how the fintech developing in Europe, in Asia. Just one example. So the most fintech companies or fintech banks, I would say, like Revolut and so on, they are developing based on the cards. So they're saying, okay, we are issuing some card with unique like service added, right? But if you will look at the Asia, they're doing completely different. They say they're making like a mobile device as your bank, right? So like mobile bank, everything inside, or even you don't need the mobile. So it could be connected to any device that you have. So it means that, okay, the fintech in Asia, they're based on e-wallets, if we will talk from the point of view of the IT infrastructure. In Europe, the fintech, they're based on the traditional products like loans, or it could be like credit card or something like that. So this is the main idea, and this idea actually shows the different ways of development. So okay, we will later, I think we will talk about how the fintech banks are going on. So in Asia, most of the fintechs, they're integrating with the different economic parts, so like taxi or data aggregator or social media, much faster, because you don't need to crush something inside the models, inside the brain of the people, how to using the money. You're just teaching them. So from the scratch, it's easier. So, and it's supported by the government. In the most cases, they are not, at least they're not make much of the obstacle. And they allow you to develop something, to show them that it's working, and just after that, they're trying to regulate something, right? In Europe, it's much more complicated as far as I know. So we have a lot of regulation about the data privacy, about the licensing, access to the validation, about digital identity, and so on. So it's actually also slow down developing of your business, like it's limiting your business model that they can use. So, and I would say that fintech in Asia started much later than US or Europe, but it's dynamically, it's developing faster, and they have unique services that those guys in Europe, they don't have. And later I will give you the examples, yeah, especially in lending to SME, and the models they're using in predictive lending, in predictive consuming for the SME, you don't even have it in Europe, yeah. The second reason is the access to the data. In Europe, you have the most of the people has the credit history, and it's easy to understand and to standardize modeling about the making the risk mitigation, right? But in Asia, it's completely different. So that's why you have to be more creative, and it brings you like a different approach to the data modeling, to data scrapping. And so I didn't see that much in the projects from the Europe, because when they come to Asia to just to spread the business, to develop the business, they have to start from the scratch. They're studying how to do the business in an Asian way. Okay.
I see, Rinat. You definitely revealed a huge gap between European fintechs and Asian fintechs. It's because, first of all, I can share my finance apps on my iPhone. I have so many of them. I have all of these challenger banks for my businesses and personal banking. And as you got the thing definitely right, here in the UK and across Europe, it's almost nothing to start issuing cards. And if you're a startup, it's almost easy peasy for you to get core banking services. Let's say you can easily get connected to wholesale or B2B banks like Clearbank or something else, just to launch your own Revolut. You need nothing to start issuing cards, to build your brand new website, to connect to this wholesale banking API and start banking your customers, individuals or either businesses. It's nothing. The only things you are competing by are your features. What are the features around the core banking? And today, you can see even for SMEs, N26, Monzo for Business, Revolut for Business, Starling, Tide, etc. Almost, I would say it's about 10 challenger banks, and some of them, or I would say the majority of them, they even don't have their own banking license. They don't own any financial infrastructure. Even the majority of them probably even don't hold electronic money licenses because they rely on their banking financial provider. That's how it works here, and they're competing by features. But and it's okay, as you mentioned, it's a very standardized credit history checks, compliance checks, anti-money laundering checks, and KYC, KYB to get your current account approved, up and running for 1-2 days, etc. But in Asia, you definitely don't have these compliance, you don't have open banking, you don't have GDPR regulations, etc. But you have very impactful applications. I remember when I was in Indonesia and Malaysia, I used a taxi ordering app, the green one. Can you remind me what's its name?
Gojek.
Yeah, Gojek. If I remember right, even they aimed to launch own e-wallet, or like a electronic money wallet, to accept payments, to top in, to withdraw physical cash from local kiosks. And it's amazing. And these local apps became so powerful. They're adding additional services like WeChat in China. It's a kind of a massive ecosystem inside of a single app. And what I especially love about the Asian environment and regulatory environment, it's unlimited possibilities if you are aligned with the local law, that it's not so advanced now. That's why you may do so many beautiful things.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And I would say that the local law, they're following not the traditional banking, they're following the certain business model used by fintech. So that's why we don't need to make any crazy things about the paper or something like that. Yeah, with our clients. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So that's why I would say so that the local fintech players, they have amazing possibilities for development. The only problem at the moment, okay, they have less access to the finance, the funding, yeah, than European companies. But it's changing slightly, but changing. Yeah. Yeah, some challenges on the way of that, but okay, it's also solving. Yeah.
What you're talking about reminds me exactly the African landscape. As soon as I'm very well connected, and in my past I lived in North Africa, and actually I'm developing some business relations there in Ghana, Nigeria, and Kenya, South Africa, Zambia, with a variety of African countries. Some fintechs are booming there because exactly the same things you mentioned, like a lack of local venture funds and a lack of local regulatory environment. And even if you'd like to take as an example the whole country of Nigeria, with a population above 200 million people, the only 5 million people, or 2.5% of the population, have the bank account. That's why mobile money like MTN, Momo, Tigo, and all of these alternative money, if you would like to call them so, are booming there. And the company called M-Pesa in Kenya only has 385,000 local agents for cash-ins and cash out.
That's correct. Yeah. So I think the key point for success in Africa also that you mentioned M-Pesa, and M-Pesa also used in a few countries around, right, around Kenya. So they have developed some kind of air money, so it's connected to telecom service, right? So you are buying like air from the telecom. It's like universal currency in between countries. So they have discovered the way how to make the transaction transborder. This is the key point for developing fintech. Make it easier to become global, faster than traditional banks. When they're playing like building high-rise buildings, skyscraper with a beautiful office, a lot of stuff, you just set up your business, copy paste from other country, and it's working because you have three main things. First is like paperless and people-free business. Second is that you have a lot of like interconnection with the real economy, like cash in and cash out. And the third thing, you make your business borderless, seamless. So you can travel abroad, you can send money abroad, you can use the same money without any doubt, any currency exchange, something like that, because you understand you have some universal tool that will work everywhere. So this is three key points for making fintech working. All three working in, and the fourth thing, so you have to overcome the traditional way of using money. But in Africa, they don't have any experience, you said, right? In Asia, the same. In Europe, in the US, it will be a little bit more complicated, but could be also solved, yeah.
Yeah, that's really an opportunity. Rinat, just to closing this question, could you please bring your opinion, your advice to those European, American, and Canadian fintechs who is wishing to reach the South Asian market? What would you advise to pay the most attention on when they would like to go there?
I would say they have to prepare to four things. First is related to local regulation. So they have to get ready to work in the gray area. So there are no any direct licensing. If the direct licensing exists, they don't have any strict rules. So you work on your own risk, and you are solving the issues with the regulatory, with authorities. So I think nobody can talk to the Security Commission, Exchange Commission, US, right? Here you can do that. And you can impact their opinion about developing the regulation. This one thing, they have to be proactive, working with authority, get ready to work in the gray risk area, right? Or related to regulation. Be creative, be colorful, right? Like Saul Goodman, yeah. So the second thing, they have to get ready that there will be lack of information they accustomed with in Europe. So they don't have, in the most market, they don't have direct access to the credit history, or the penetration of credit history is very low, like 20% of populations, like nothing. That hit rate will not allow you to make any sustainable risk model. So, and you should be ready to develop your data science team tremendously, because you will have an access to, you will gain the access, have to gain access to many other data sources, like behavioral data source, like social media, telecom data, let's say device data, like many other data sources that they're not usually using in Europe and US. Here you have to can make the predictive models to understand the default, the credit default, or like propensity to borrow, and so on. The third thing you have to get ready is related to the marketing. So digital marketing, it moves in a different way, not similar to US. It's much cheaper here. So actually, and you have to get ready that you will have lower cost, and from other side you will have lower tickets with the clients. So you will gain like $1, but million people, something like that. Yeah. That will be difference in the model, and you have to care about operational excellence more than in Europe, because you will have much more client, you have to service much more client, and how your models efficiently working, how your bots efficiently working, how your application efficiently working, how excellent your sales funnel, so that it will tremendously impact your business. The fourth thing you have to care about, that okay, because of the not so clear regulation, you could have trouble in collecting money. So that's why you should be very accurate in data modeling. So it's jumping back, right? So that's why the strategies, the debt collection strategies that using in different markets, they're not that working here. Some of the local markets, they're using regulation that prevent the currency exchange and transborder operation, money operation. So that's why you have to be also get ready to be creative in that area. Yeah. So this is two ways. The one more thing that the key management personnel you should bring from abroad. I would say the local guys, they have lack of skills, managerial skills, and I would say, guys, if you want to bring your effective IT technologies, the top management should be deployed from your regional country, middle management locals here, and of course you have to prepare that the local mentality is very different. It's very different. So I would say 6 to 12 months it will take from you, that you will study how to assign the task, how to make the checkpoints, how to control, and how to manage getting to the result. So in Asia, it's very not much easy. And I would say that in here, the most of the markets, they exist not so long time, like 5-6 years only, and so the cooperation between players just start doing just at the moment. Association of the players just start there's beginning. So that's why the European players have to be proactive. They should be ready for that role, that they will driven with the experience, and they have to bring the experience about how to work in association, how to communicate with the government. Yeah.
I see. Thanks, Rinat, for these advices. Let's move to the next topic. Again, bringing with us the same question about an opportunity for Europe and the US startups to reach out the Asian and the South Asian markets, especially when you experienced more. Could you tell us about potential or future competitors? And where all of these local big fintechs and quite modern banks are heading to? What are they working on? What are they developing right now? With which exact features we probably will compete when we will go to the market?
I think our most competitor not the banks. So banks are very conservative. Even those who are declared the most digital banks in the Asia, like Shinhan Bank from Korea and so on, they're much far from developing the financial service from the most of the fintech companies. And I would say they're ready to acquire the fintech companies, but I would say that the most danger will come not from the banks. It will come from the data aggregator, like taxi aggregator or social media, messengers, telecom companies. All of them, they are getting licenses for financial services, and they are making, because they have a lot of data from the users, and they can make predictive model, predicting credit default, predicting consumer behavior. I would say, okay, we have to get ready to compete with them. We have to propose something that they cannot, something in the merging between their business and other businesses here. In the end of our conversation, I will give one example here. that the model could work.
What are those services they are actually working on, and what are the services of tomorrow will be delivered to the market? Any insights?
Yeah, just gonna give you example about the Gojek you have mentioned in the beginning, right? The taxi company, the company who has started as the taxi aggregator in Indonesia right now. They're developing. They gained like billions of dollars in the IPO, and they are like driven with the very good data team right now, and so they're developing the products that allow them to. That allows their customers to acquire the products similar to the AliExpress. So, and also they can provide the delivery all in one. They provide financing all in one. So, and they provide the services around that. So, like maintenance and so on. So you just need one application for all of that. And what the most important, they have enough data for prediction. So for the good prediction of the consumer behavior, that they can catch the customer before he can go to the shop. And so they can deliver the goods, they can deliver the consumer durables, the food, everything, and they can provide financing for that. So actually you can live within that ecosystem. You can receive money on that, your salary on that e-wallet, so they can use it. They can propose you the ways how to manage your savings. They can provide you effective way of investing in P2P. They're real P2P because they have information about how another side, the borrower behave, and they can predict the credit default in a much better way than European P2P platform doing, and they can allow to avoid the situation when the customer don't pay, because they are also acting as the insurance company in this case. So I would say that the company who has enough data about the customer behavior, about financial transaction, about the what the customer will like and how they consume, so they can win the competition and they can gain the most of the market.
I see. Yeah, it's definitely a crucial point to consider. But from your point of view, from your experience, probably you saw some attempts on the market. What is better to go to the market and become a part of someone else's infrastructure, as you mentioned, to become a service supplier within the Gojek ecosystem, or is it still possible to get your space on the ground and become that big ecosystem, like as an alternative player? Is this still possible now?
It's possible if you can propose something unique to your clients, so that can that cover the interest right in the life. At the moment you have to propose something really revolutionary, so messenger or like social media. So you see who knows about TikTok, right? Like 5 years ago, nobody. Yeah, so it's still working. So we have YouTube, but still have TikTok. Why not? So the main idea is how to make it more convenient than all others. If you will have a look at the marketplace of the Gojek, it's less convenient than Alibaba. Alibaba like beats the Gojek. But if there will be another taxi service that will make that like purchase delivery more convenient or the same like Alibaba, they will win. They will win. There's still some space for copy pasting the core business of acquiring the customer and making the additional services more convenient. I would say. Okay, I would say I haven't heard any service that works with the big manufacturers. So let's say nobody proposed to Samsung, okay, you are issuing a new phone, so we can sell 1 million in 2 months. Nobody do that. So why? There is a space for such a service. All you need is just data to collect the data about enough people, about enough individuals to make the model to predict like 1 million would need a phone and find the banks who will propose the financing for that, or the financial institution, or maybe P2P platforms. Yeah, nobody doing that yet. So maybe not
Or
enough
even
data.
or maybe even a cohort of these financial institutions who will be able to finance these million of Samsung phones.
Yes, that's correct. Correct. So the most power is the data. You have the access to the data. So, for example, my research project, it was based on the data from the Facebook. We collected from the other social media, and the social media closing and the data. So that's why it's not so easy to scrap the data. But anyway, so you can do that. Yeah, you can make the bots, train them to pretend like humans, so you can work lawfully, but you can gain the data. Anyway, I would say there's still space for fintech companies to develop their business. At the moment, we're calling fintech companies just some of them who making lending, the most of them, right? Lending, or let's say like e-wallet and money remittance, right? But just very small part. I think that the most part is predicting the consumer and finding the finance for that. So that will be the next step. That will be the next step that would allow to merge some data aggregators and consumer platforms, something like Alibaba and so on. Look at Alibaba, they're trying to predict, but they don't have enough data. They have only financial transaction, your previous experience on the e-commerce, but they cannot collect data from the Facebook.
I see. Rinat, and just continue talking about quite near future, or let's say mid future. What is your feeling? What are your forecasts? How the banking system will develop for the next, let's say, 5-10 years? What are the services shall we expect for the next 5-10 years, based even on your researches?
I think it's global P2P. This one way of development. The second way of development, the SME lending will be also developed from the fintech. Because if you are working in the, let's say, in the infrastructure of the Gojek, and I am the driver, they know everything about me, they can propose me money. If I am the owner of the e-commerce website that who is working with the same Gojek and delivering the goods, they also know everything about me. They don't need any tax declaration about me, so they can make the models. So first is the global P2P. Pure global P2P. So right now, the European P2P, they're not pure. So they have a lot of intermediates between the borrower and lender. There should not be any intermediates. So pure P2P. Second is the SME lending, fintech SME lending. And the third one is the, I think, the more development of InsurTech. More developing InsurTech, because insurance company, they don't see the market just before the nose. They're not issuing the like medical insurance for every customer, just selling for them who demand already, who got sick or something like that. They're not proactive in that. They're not selling insurance for using the legal service. No, just like few companies in the world doing that. And for many services, so like buying the motorbikes or something, yeah, we can make different like insurances. So it's something that's related to predictive consuming. Yeah.
I see. You mentioned the global P2P, and also you're focusing on the P2P lending, especially. I met many quite well developed businesses. For instance, we have Kiva that supplies some liquidity to African countries. Also, we have a few projects here across Europe, a couple of them in the US. I'm talking about the very big ones like Peerberry, Mintos, very reputable brands. And you're definitely right, there are a few intermediaries in between of a finance provider or a lender and the borrower. But I think just my personal point of view that the difficulty brought by different countries' regulatory frameworks. It's because even today, it's almost impossible to make a direct transfer between different regions. It's still impossible to make a direct, even just a wire transfer payment to someone from Latin America or North America or Africa or Asia. Anyway, anyhow, you have to involve some money transfer or remittance service provider. That's why I think that you will have to have at least a single intermediary, even your own bank, to get these remittance delivered to your borrower. And I think the same to pay off the loan issued.
Yes, of course. So you're using a lot of intermediaries, but the current cost of the intermediaries is too high. The Stripe, they're charging 3%. It's ridiculously high for one way of the money delivery. So it should cost like hundreds or like of percent, right? So hundreds parts of percent. And yeah, it should be more clear. So my concern is the following. So at the moment, the most of the P2P platform, they're calling themselves P2P, they're not connecting directly to person to different countries. The same Mintos, so they had a problem, right, in Vietnam, you know, right? So they lost a lot of money. So why? Because they don't care about the legal setup. So they're using intermediate. If you don't want to use the intermediate, so okay, just care about the legal part. So yeah, it takes time. It requires the local partnership, but you should have your presence in terms of the legal in the country. You cannot work only in UK or Latvia or any other country and use the partnership with other and rely on that partnership. Okay, this world is very modern, so there is no any strict rules, no any control of the Security Exchange Commission over that. So that's why you should control it, and you should prove to your customer you control it. So the most problem right now of P2P, they are losing the trust. So
that's correct. That's true. But from my experience, a nature of P2P platforms is to reduce borrowing costs or to reduce cost of money you're borrowing for your own needs. Meaning, let's say, if the platform will perform their own setup in every single country with and follow all local like regulatory environment, local law that probably will require security officers and experienced accountants, finance directors set up into each single country, probably it will erase a cost of money they will lend or they will provide from their finance providers to the local demand.
Okay, I not agree a little bit with you. So, because as per my understanding, the main role for P2P is to give lender the way how to invest the money. So, because for the borrower, it should be, he should not care about who give him money. Some aggregator provided some Gojek provided him by the, I don't know, some kind of set of sushi for the money he doesn't have, for the credit actually, and that credit provided by another individual. And like in that lender, he just see in his application, okay, I can use the deposit, I can use the investment in the Tesla stocks, or I can invest into the consumer markets. They have different, this is just one of the options. And I'm, as a company, as the P2P platform, I should provide him smoothly controllable and trustable way for delivering that money. And I should control all of that stage. If I will find another partner to reduce that cost, it will not reducing the cost, because they charge too much. The competition is not too high. If there will be like 1,000 Stripe companies having the global license, yeah, I will agree with you. So it's better to cooperate. But at this moment, it's better to make your own supply chain. So make it global, but to care about that, yeah, it costs money, but it would be much more cheaper than attracting third party, and it will provide you the most valuable thing, trust. Because if you're doing savings, you're giving the saving product, you should gain the trust. Once you fail, you cannot return to that business anymore.
I see. Yeah, that's a really good point to pay attention on. Rinat, and also you mentioned at the end you will show us an example of local fintech.
Example, local fintech. I already told that they have the Gojek. Yeah, very good one. Very good fintech. Trusting Social, very good one. They're also based on the data. They started like scoring provider, but right now they also deliver some financial services. Yeah, I think that Tonic Bank will be very promising. They have a very cool idea about the predictive financing. Not so many examples. So I would say that, okay, very cool idea from the Zalo Messenger in Vietnam. Yeah, they're also trying to develop predictive consuming and financing. Yeah, based on the analyzing of the messages that used by the customer. It's really cool idea. So they're making models based on semantic analysis of text. Yeah,
that's beautiful. I think we will add these links for these 3 startups, fintechs you mentioned in the description for the video, just to have more info. And I think my associate will drop a quick line about the core benefits they are offering to the market. Yeah, that was a really good talk, Rinat. Thank you very much for your time and for your advices, especially. I think it will be very useful for European fintechs who are considering the South
Asian
market.
Thank you for approaching me. Thank you for approaching me. Very inspiring, yeah. Thank you.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Good luck, guys.